Good morning, everyone. It is Friday Live Q&A here with Dr. Pingel on multi-platforms. So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to jump in. When you do jump in, if you could just give me a thumbs up, a heart, a hello. Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can see you. I'm a little dark on Instagram this morning, aren't I? The lighting's a little weird here in my window today. It's actually sunny in Phoenix, and it's going to be a beautiful day. It's been rather rainy and cold. But yeah, the light's a little off. Can you guys see me okay? I'm good over here, I think. You guys are all good. So say hello. Let me know you can hear me. And then I will jump on in. Good morning. Hi, Tara. How are ya? So I'm way excited. I am prepping for my upcoming group program, the Total Energy Turnaround Program. And there's been many of you who have reached out to work with me one-on-one. And maybe there wasn't a spot available or it wasn't the right time for you. I really encourage you to take a look at this program because it allows you to work with me in a group. I definitely lead the calls. I'm very much involved. I can help you figure stuff out as you go along, getting some of the basics of just getting your health back on track so that you can start to figure out, is there anything wrong? Is there not? Get yourself listening to your body. And it's 90 days. That's it. It's going to start April 1st. And I'm going to start sending out some emails and putting stuff on social media to sign up. But you can always check out the program at thetotalenergyturnaround.com. I'm way, way, way excited for this round. I've made a few changes. Every time I do it, I up level it a little bit more, I think. And just kind of take the feedback from previous people and see if I can incorporate it. So I'm really excited for this round. Like, I'm ready to go. So if any of you are looking for it, are any of you planning to do it? Any of you looked at it yet? And you're like, yes, I'm in. I'd really love to be able to meet all of you and work with you and help you get to where you need to go. I think after the 90 days, you'll have a very clear idea of what do I need to work on and what do I need to look at and what's the next step. And I think that's one of the hardest things. And what I hear from most of you is that you just don't know where to start. And you just don't know where that's going to take you. And then, so when you can just kind of start, let me guide you, get you started, it becomes a lot more clear as far as what you need to do. So I'm way excited for that. In the light of sharing news stories and stuff and kind of filling you in on what's going on in the health world, I want to talk about one today real quick before I jump into questions. And there was an article that came out. I don't know if you saw it. One of the medical news was saying about, hey, omega-3 is more, the supplement, the headline is, omega-3 supplements may be more effective in preventing autoimmune diseases. And they go in to say that a recent study showed that 2 years after a 5-year trial period, the benefits of vitamin D in preventing autoimmune disease had waned, while those with omega-3 were still strong. So here's what I want to talk about with this. And this is kind of giving you insight to a naturopathic perspective. Okay. So this article is leaning towards the allopathic perspective. If you take fish oils, you will prevent autoimmune disease. Vitamin D may or may not. Like, that's what they're saying, right? So let's think about this from a different way. What does an omega-3 do? It's an anti-inflammatory, right? So, and vitamin D, of course, is going to see great benefit, and then your levels are going to normalize. So taking additional vitamin D at that point may not be useful, right? Autoimmune is linked to low vitamin D. So when your vitamin Ds are level, of course, adding additional vitamin D is not going to make as much of a difference because you're already there, right? So when we talk about omega-3, we look at this from two different perspectives. It's like the allopathic model is going to say, take this pill, prevent disease. The naturopathic is going to say, well, of course, because it's anti-inflammatory. So you could do that 1,000 different ways. You could do an anti-inflammatory diet. You could do stress reduction. You could add the addition of omega-3. But is it the omega-3 itself that's doing it? Or is it the action of the omega-3 that's preventing the autoimmune disease? And these are the questions as a naturopathic physician that we go into. Because I think so often we're just looking for that pill to just fix something. But we need to pay attention to what that pill does, even if it's a supplement. So is omega-3 the magic bullet to preventing autoimmune disease? I don't think so. I think an anti-inflammatory lifestyle and supplementing the body with supplements that help support that immune response and that inflammatory response is what's the magic ticket, right? So I think at some point, if somebody's taking omega-3s for 2-3 years, but they're not doing the other things in their life that are lowering inflammation, they're going to find that it runs out of effectiveness as well, just like vitamin D, and the numbers are going to start to switch. What do you guys think on that? Did that make sense, what I was saying? I really encourage all of you, when you read these studies, any of the medical studies out there, to think about it a little bit deeper than what it is, right? Because we're really looking at a lot of clickbait per se. Now, do I think people shouldn't take omega-3s? Of course, I use omega-3s in my patients all the time. This has nothing to do with the omega-3. Omega-3s are fantastic. But it's not as simple as just taking omega-3 to reverse autoimmune disease. It's about what it does. Does that make sense? Did I lose you all? It's like you're all gone. No? So I found that interesting. And as I read through these articles, I always find myself going, well, that's interesting. Look at who is funding the research. Right, exactly. And you know what? This one, I didn't go to the PubMed article this morning because just the headline alone gave me content to chat about and just kind of reading it. But I guarantee you, they are taking funding to research these things. And I'll be honest with you, it's a lot simpler than that. We don't have to put all this funds into research. The bottom line is that our body needs good fats to function. It needs a proper metabolism. And when you do that through your diet, through your lifestyle, through supplementation, if you need extra, and you focus on the body in a holistic way, you're going to have prevention of all diseases, not just autoimmunity. You're going to have an impact on the cardiovascular system. You're going to have the immune system, the thyroid, the hormones, the mood, the sleep, everything that we deal with in our society is impacted when you look at the entire being and the metabolism of the being. And the stress that we keep ourselves under slows this process down, which is why we develop diseases, right? Why we develop nutrient deficiencies in the first place. You can't absorb the omega-3s from an avocado if you're in the woods running from a bear, right? So I should add a fish oil to my supplement line. I could, but if you work with me, you'll learn that I put it in the diet. So you don't need it, right? So if you're eating the right diet, you get enough fats. If your stress is reduced, you will absorb them better. So what I find is I could give you supplements all day long. You could take an omega-3, but if you're under stress, you're not going to absorb it anyway. And then you're throwing money out the window. Does anyone want to throw money out the window, especially right now? No. We need to learn how to do this so that we don't have to spend all this money on supplements, and you're just doing the supplements that replete what you need for this particular time in your life. And this changes over time. Any of my patients out there will tell you, I may have them on one regimen for a certain length of time, and then I may start switching it. Why? Because I'm moving with what their body's telling me and what their body's doing to heal, right? What their body's taking back over, I can get rid of. And then it's like, okay, well, the next area of the pathway is this one. So now we got to go in there and we got to get that optimized, and then we'll move on to the next one, right? This isn't a take this solution. And I think if we start looking in medicine in that way, we're going to see changes in health, significant changes in health. And we do in the naturopathic world, in the functional medicine world. It's just a different look at it. Does that make sense? I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on that. If I made sense in that, because I do think it's a really important point, especially as we're just loaded with infobesity, right? We just have info coming at us from every different direction. Take this for this, take that for this, take this, don't take this. We told you to take this. Now we're not going to take this. But it's like, is anyone else's head swirling from health news lines, especially in the last many years? I'm a physician and mine swirls a little bit. I'm like, what the heck? And then it's funny because I read the article and I'm like, well, yeah, that hasn't changed. Of course, we need to have an anti-inflammatory situation to avoid autoimmune disease. Of course, vitamin D will work for a while in reducing autoimmunity because they're low in vitamin D. But then when they hit the levels, they're not low in it anymore. So it's not the factor. You move on. Then you have to go to the next level of care. That's when that vitamin D supplement gets reduced, lowered, maintained, right? So just keep that in mind when you look at these studies and you look at this stuff, and bring it to me. If you guys read any health articles and you want my opinion on it, please, by all means, throw them into this Q&A and let's talk about it, because people aren't. And I'm tired of sitting back and watching all this misinformation being thrown around. I used a word. They'll probably get me bumped off. I'm sorry. Oops. All this information being thrown around that may or may not be accurate. I think we need to start having conversations about what we read so we can really understand what we're reading. Yeah? Totally agree. Steve says, totally agree. I get analysis paralysis from TMI all the time, right? All the time. All the time. And then as soon as you think you figure it out, it's changed. Oh, well, we thought this, but now this. But I'll tell you what hasn't changed. In my career as a naturopath, the foundations that we learned are still valid today. I've been practicing for 15 years. Most of the techniques I used 15 years ago are still proving results today because I looked at it from a holistic way, not from a take this, do that type thing. So there are foundational approaches that are 100% proven to improve your health. And these are the things we talk about in my total energy turnaround program is learn these foundations so that you can then take it to the next level with your doctor. Yeah. And really get there. I'm sorry, I'm so dark on Instagram today. I don't know. I could over here and like mess with the light, but it'd probably just make it worse. So we won't do that today. I did see a question. I'm going to jump into questions. Now that I have my little intro out of the way, if you guys still want to talk about that or you have anything you want to bring up there, please pop it below. I'll keep watching. I do see the questions from YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. I do not see them from LinkedIn, but I can answer them after the fact. So I did see a question over on Instagram a little while ago. So I'm going to scroll back and start there. And then I will start hitting out all of your questions one at a time. If you're new, introduce yourself. Let's see. Okay. I had a question about B12. Okay. The question is, cyanocobalamin is high, but I thought our body flushes out the B vitamins. What do I do, or how does that happen? Okay. So first of all, you used a medical term here, cyanocobalamin. Okay. There are different types of B12, cyanocobalamin, adenocobalamin, methylcobalamin, there's hydroxycobalamin. So when we intake B12, it has to be converted in our body in multiple ways. Okay. So when you're doing a blood test, now I can only assume that you're checking the blood levels of cyanocobalamin or of the cobalamins in your blood, and they're coming back high, and you're wondering if you're toxic, right? Blood measurement of B12 is not fantastic. It is great for finding deficiency, but it is not great for finding optimal levels, because if you're taking it, of course, it's going to be floating around in the blood until it's removed. I would argue that perhaps you had been taking it regularly. You can tell me no. If not, I can only run with what I got. If you're taking it regularly, of course, it's going to be high in the blood, right? Are you toxic? Not necessarily. Another thing to consider, I have seen toxicity of cobalamins, and this mostly comes from injectable. I see people taking high doses of injectable too often. So I've seen it both ways. Most of the time when I see that, it's because the person has an MTHFR deficiency, which is a genetic deficiency. MTHFR sounds a lot like a swear word. That's how I remember it. And I do have information. I have an article on that on my website, MTHFR. And in that cases, you have to make sure, and this goes for everyone, guys, B12 doesn't work alone. It works with B6 and methylated folate, and the type that you take needs to be methylated. So if you're taking cyanocobalamin, odds are you're probably not absorbing it well, which is why it's so high in the blood. When you're taking absorbable form and your body is using it well, your levels may come back on the high end, but they're not going to be deficient, right? So blood work is not always as accurate when it comes to vitamins, because all it can do is look at what's floating around right then in the peripheral blood. It's not telling me what's in the cell. Does that make sense? We're not going inside the cell to pull out the level of B12, which is where it's utilized. We're going into the blood. So yes, some doctors would say, well, if it's in the blood, that means the cell is full. I don't know. Because if you don't have proper pathways for that and your body can't transport the B12 into the cell because it doesn't have the methylation capacity, you're going to have high levels in the blood, low levels in the cell, and symptoms of B vitamin deficiency. So there's a lot more to it than just that. So my advice would be, I think everyone, honestly, if you're under stress, if you live a life in this world, you're under stress in some way, B vitamins get burned through. It's really important to be taking a methylated B vitamin. I prefer all of them. I use my Total B complex every single day. If you're someone with MTHFR deficiency, you may have to go higher on the methylfolate component, the B12 component. I very rarely find that you have to go higher in the B, you have to go, okay, let me restate that. If you have the MTHFR, you may have to go higher in the B6 component and the methylfolate component. I very rarely find that you have to go higher in the B12 component. And this is converse to what most people say, right? They pump you full of B12. So there's a very important relationship there to pay attention to. I do have an article on this, MTHFR. And you have MTHFR. There you go. Okay. So if you're just taking B12, that's a problem. In fact, you may not need it. So in that pathway, you're going to get backed up in B12. So B12 is not necessarily the answer. B6 and methylated folate are going to be a better answer. And you'll probably use them in combination, but you can't just look at B12 levels. There's so much more in that picture, sweetheart. So much more that needs to be paid attention to. Okay. So really important. Okay. Thank you. You guys are popping questions in. I love it. I'm coming over there. I see you over there on Facebook. Hang tight. I'm going to finish these couple on Instagram, like one or two, because they came in first, and then pop over to you. So don't go anywhere. Garden Moose has a question. Hi. How are you? Lots of talks on root canals. I need one, and information is creating worry. Thoughts? I need one because I had amalgam removed. I'm not a dentist. I do have connections with holistic dentists that probably have amazing info on this. Dr. Tony Ingram is one of them, Engram. I'll try to remember to put her handle below. I have no doubt she probably has more information on this. There's a lot of back and forth. So for me, I see two sides of the argument, right? So I see that if you leave an infected tooth in there that's down in the root, that has health consequences. But also going in and removing it can have health consequences. So you have to be able to speak with a dentist that can look at the pros and cons of both sides and figure out an option. She may very well, I know for a fact, she'll have better information than I will on that. Dr. Tony, if you watch this, help us out. I'll tag her below afterwards. Okay. Best way to recover from Keytruda? Keytruda. Is that a medication? Oh, it is. Oh, okay. So it's an immune. Yeah, okay. So it's an anti-cancer drug, an immune stimulant. Also not my area, Carol. I'm not great at that. So I don't want to give false advice. There's always a hit whenever you use an immune suppressant drug because our body wants to protect us. So when you tell the body it can't protect us, I can only speak to this in adrenal fatigue arena, right? I mean, these are the things I look at. And everything is recoverable, by the way. But okay, so when you suppress the immune system, when the body's trying to fight something, the body's going to have a little fight within itself, right? It's a stressful situation. So as far as to recover from any medication that has been involved in, you do have to address the stress that has been impacted by that medication. You also have to look at the pathways of which it clears the body and support those. So typically you're looking at some sort of liver support. You're looking at some sort of adrenal support. You're looking at nutrients to replete in the immune system. I haven't worked specifically with that medication. My patient database isn't, typically taking those types of medications. So I'm sure there's even more of a wealth of information from other people out there, but I would say recovery from any immune medication needs to be looked at as a whole person. And it needs to be repleting what the body has lost from that medication so that the body can get back on track, right? So if you're no longer using it, you need to clear it out through the liver, right? And then you would need to supplement the vitamins and nutrients that are depleted by that medication. And that's research. I mean, that's what it is. Like if you came to me as a patient, it's not that I would say, oh, go see someone else, but I would have to sit down for a good amount of time and read through exactly what that medication does and cross-reference that with what nutrients would be impacted. So that's why I don't have a perfect answer for you, because I haven't had the opportunity to sit down and really dive into that particular medication and what would be depleted from it. But your doctor should be able to do that, right? So it's important that you have a physician on your side that will do that, that will come to you, just like I'm saying right now, and say, gosh, you know what? That's a freaking great question. I have an idea, but I'd like to go take a moment to look this up and really give you a thorough answer with confidence. That is our job. That is my job. Many of you say, what makes you different, Dr. Pingel? Why should I come work with you than any other functional medicine, naturopathic doctor? Everyone has these protocols. Everyone has these things. Why should I come work with you? Because I'm actually going to take the time to do the research and tell you when I need to do the research. I'm not going to sit there with an ego and give you an answer that I'm not 100% confident in. So my patients all know when I come back with an answer and I say something, I've actually taken the time to look at it, right? So yeah, ask your doctor that question, but there's definitely deficiencies from that medication. There's no doubt, honey, no doubt. And the adrenal glands were definitely impacted by it. Yeah. Yes, I take regularly, but I take methylated cobalamin. Yeah. So look at the other B vitamins. On that note, before I move over to Facebook here, how does a person know if the pathways are open? So much talk about pathways and no information on how to know about it. It's testing. It's not that hard. I found out that I had MTHFR by swabbing my cheek and doing a genetic test. I did it at home. I mean, granted, I'm a physician, so I knew how to read it. When my patients do it, they give me the data, I interpret the data and give them the results. This is not a complicated thing. You could look online and self-order genetic testing, or you could self-order testing for MTHFR. Heck, I might even have that available on a patient-forward site. And if not, if I don't, I will. Like, I need to start offering that for you guys where you can order it yourself. Now, I wouldn't be able to interpret it for you unless you're my client, but you could take it to your doctor. You could get the information. You could hold that information. In fact, I'm going to make a note because I do have some portals like that I would like to share with you guys, especially you guys that show up here and listen to these lives. You're going to get a little insight here. So I do need to add the self-ordering options to my website so that you guys can go in and find out. Would you guys like that? If you'd like it, give me a thumbs up. Give me a yes. Engage with me here. Would you like that? Should I offer that to you? And then if you wanted me to review it, obviously that's another thing. But at the same time, these live Q&As are a great place to talk about this type of thing. If you're like, hey, I found this came up. What do you think of it? I'm happy to share my general insights here on these live Q&As. It's hearts. Thank you. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Hi. Okay. I am coming over here. Okay. All right. You're talking about you want to check your children. I haven't checked my children yet, but I just give them methylated folate. I give them a multivitamin that has methylated folate. Because here's the thing, I have both genes and I didn't have a ton of symptoms. I had some. They were the ones that get dismissed, right? Sorry to the guys, but hey, I'm transparent, right? I had heavy periods. I had horrible periods. I had estrogen dominance. I had a little bit of depression, but not at a clinical level. So nobody ever caught it. And it wasn't until I found that deficiency and I started taking folate, all of a sudden I was like, wow, these symptoms are gone, right? But it wasn't like I had these massive symptoms. I mean, just taking folate can help a lot. I didn't miscarry children. I carried safe children and I have both genes and I was able to conceive and carry children to term. And they say if you have MTHFR, you can't. So it's not that you can't, you just have to replenish what you don't have, right? All right. great questions over on Facebook. So I'm going to jump into these. Happy Friday. Do dairy products cause brain fog? I'm going to give a very simple answer. I say yes. Now, some may come out and argue and say it depends on the source of the dairy, and they make a good point. You know, if you're on a farm and these are grass-fed, you know, getting dairy directly from the cow, raw, there's a lot of data saying that that may be more easily absorbable and not as health detriment. But if we're talking about going to the grocery store and buying Lucerne milk, please don't. I don't see any benefit from it. But when it comes to brain fog, this is how I want you to look at it. Once again, kind of going back to our talk in the beginning, this isn't about what one thing am I eating that's causing brain fog. Brain fog is a sign that your body is overstimulated. I'm going to say that again. This is a really important point because you guys are going to think it's the opposite. Brain fog is a sign that your body is overstimulated, not understimulated. Now, could dairy cause a reaction in the body that contributes to the overstimulation? Yes. So could a zillion other things. But when you don't see the detail, when you're forgetting the detail, it's because you're doing too much. The body has too much going on. Now, when I say too much, it may not be external. It may be internal. Maybe you have diabetes. Maybe you have high blood pressure. Maybe you're going through menopause. The body is dealing with a lot in those things, right? And so the body's like, I just got too much to do. I can't remember where I put my pen or my keys, right? Or who I spoke to. I had an experience yesterday. I had a really busy week this week. My weeks are strange because I'm a concierge doctor. I'll have weeks where it's pretty chill. It's mostly behind the scenes stuff. I can do more stuff with the kids. And then I have weeks where I'm doing that plus patients, plus, you know, podcast interviews and things like that. And so my schedule is kind of unpredictable. And this week happened to be a week where I worked really long days and I was in front of a screen longer than I normally am. I don't like to be in front of screens for very long. I really don't. And I've been in front of screens for a good 5, 6, even 7 hours a day for the last couple of days. And last night I did not sleep well. I see it in my face. You guys may too. I see it. I'm freaking tired, man. I did not sleep well. My brain was so overstimulated. And I spent a good half an hour trying to remember the word of something that I say to people every single day. And I literally could not remember what it is. I had to text a friend and say, what the hell was this? And she's like, you've been working too much? And I was like, yeah, I have. So think about that. How much is your body dealing with? That's the brain fog. Yeah. Does that make sense to people? Are you guys resonating with that? So I have a question. Tell me what not to eat. Wendy, what do you think? I want people to join in here. This is an interactive thing. What should you not eat? If you were to pick just a couple things, right? What would it be? Right? This isn't, so many people ask me this question. And see, Tara is getting like overly advanced and saying seed oils. Let's just make this simple. You're not wrong, but let's just make this simple. Processed food. There you go. Number 1, don't eat processed food. If it comes in a box, it's a no. How about that? Right? No. If it comes from a fast food place where they're just wrapping it together real quick and they're sending it to you, it's a processed food. Don't eat it. It is literally that simple. Anything not real, 100%. So people say, oh, you're vegan. I eat the Impossible Burger. No, the Impossible Burger is crap. It's chemicals. So what we need to look at is we need to get chemicals out of our food. Sometimes it's as simple as that. If you eliminate processed food, you eliminate a lot of the things that you shouldn't eat. You eliminate dyes. You eliminate artificial ingredients. You eliminate hidden ingredients, because these are all things put into processed foods. If you go to the grocery store and you buy a head of lettuce, now a lot of you would say, oh, watch out, there could be pesticides on there. You're not wrong, okay? But let's just keep this simple, right? If you buy a head of lettuce, there are no artificial colors, flavors, dyes, chemicals added to it outside of perhaps how it was processed, right? So that's the first step, is get the processed foods out. When you're past that level, right? And you're like, okay, Dr. P, I got that done. I'm eating whole foods. Now what? Now what's the next level to go to? Then we start looking at, okay, when you are buying these fruits and vegetables, you do have to think about pesticides. You do have to think about the source. Did they come from a local farm? Did they come from, a huge corporation? Were they sprayed in pesticides? How do we clean them? But I think what happens too often in standard society from naturopaths is we jump into that really high level stuff right away and people don't do anything. Do you guys agree? Like if I went in and I said, okay, I want you to eliminate seed oils and I want you to eliminate all sugar and I want you to make sure you're only eating organic and you have to wash all your things in here and you guys are going to be like, and run to McDonald's, right? So let's just go simple. Number 1, get the processed foods out. Number 2, that includes sodas. Get the sodas out. Done. Out. Nothing. Water. Drink water. Lots of water. Clean water. Right? If you eliminate processed foods and drink lots of water, you will see a health benefit. When you're consistent with that and you're on top of it and you're like, I got this, right? I know what I'm doing now. Then you say, okay, how can I take it to the next level? Let's investigate what I am eating now. What can I pull out? And you keep growing. Health is a lifestyle. It's not a 90-day, 30-day, 60-day diet plan. It's not a let's cut processed foods out for 12 weeks, lose 10 pounds, and then put them back in. That's not what health is. Health is slowly over time learning more and more about what your body needs and how to give it nutrients. Do you guys agree? All right. Note to my wonderful social media manager, take that last 10 minutes and put it on YouTube, please. Not as a short, as a long thing. I think it's a fantastic question. Wendy, I want to know what you think of that. It's a fantastic question. And it's not as complicated as we think. Right? What do you guys think? Yeah? By the way, that's what my total energy turnaround teaches you to do. Remove processed foods. Get them out. And I haven't had a single person that's followed that plan that hasn't had a benefit from that. Now, we've customized. Some people have different workout schedules. Some people need more food, less food. Some people need more protein, less protein. Once again, that's a higher level. Let's start simple, right? How do you change so dramatically? Okay, this is a mindset thing. And maybe this goes into Steve's question. He was asking about a mindfulness exercise that would be appropriate in a group setting. Here's something. I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to slow it down for a second. And I'm going to look at you guys directly in the eye because I want you to hear me on this, okay? With any health change, whatever it is, whether it's removing processed foods or whatnot, it's a choice. It is your choice. You're either going to do it or you're not, right? Every single thing we do in our day, everything we do, I made a choice to make this smoothie. I made a choice to make a smoothie instead of have oatmeal. Both were choices. Why did I choose the smoothie this morning? I chose it because one, I didn't sleep well last night and I knew I needed more protein. So I chose it. Number 2, did I want to reach for something crappy this morning because I didn't sleep well? Yeah, but I had to make a choice not to. So I think often we think we can't make these choices. Maybe we don't have it within our soul. Maybe we don't trust ourselves, right? And so if you're someone that you're like, oh yeah, sounds very great, Pingel, but like, I can't make that choice. Like I will always pick the bad thing. Then that is when we self-reflect. We go into mindfulness. We set intentions for ourselves. We set goals for ourselves, not to eat better. That's a horrible goal. I'm going to eat better. No, the goal would be, I'm going to make better choices with this or that. I'm going to think about it before I do it. I'm going to make a choice, right? That's empowering. You have the power to make a different choice, right? Eating better isn't a choice. That's subjective. Depends on who you ask. What is eating better, right? That's not an easy goal to attain. But you can make better choices, right? So how do you make that dramatic shift? One day at a time, making different choices. Maybe you start with just breakfast. Maybe you say, you know what? For the next month, I'm going to make a better choice at breakfast every single day. I'm going to think about nutrients in my body instead of the food. I'm going to think about what my body needs. And then maybe you move to lunch, and then maybe you move to dinner. I think the idea that you can just cut cold turkey in 24 hours is ridiculous. Now, some people can do it. I can do it. I have a ridiculous level of self-control. I also have a very good sense of self. So I know what my body wants and what my body doesn't want. And when it wants something that's not good, I know how to shut it up. This morning, I said, no, you may not have that piece of gluten-free toast. Granted, it was gluten-free toast, guys. Like most people are like, oh, go ahead and eat it. No, I knew I was only wanting gluten-free toast because I didn't sleep well. I knew it was not going to give me the nutrition that I needed to actually recover from not sleeping well. I knew I needed a higher protein intake in the morning in order to recover. These are things I've learned from 15, 20 years of learning, of starting with cutting out processed foods and moving through the process as I go and really doing self-reflection and mindfulness exercises on making better choices. Every single thing we do in our life is a choice. And a lot of people would argue with me, no, I have to go to work. No, you get to go to work. You make a choice to go to work. You don't have to go. Your call. I mean, granted, there's consequences if you don't, but you don't have to, right? You still get up and get in the car and go. You may hate your job. You still go. Now, you could make a choice to do a different job. You could make a choice to quit. You could make a choice to stay in bed and call in sick. You always have a choice until you're sick. Then you may not, right? So when my mom couldn't walk herself to the bathroom because she was dying of cancer, she didn't have a choice on if she could go to work. She literally could not. She couldn't get in the car and drive to work, to a job that she hated, right? She didn't get to make that choice. Cancer made that choice for her, right? So if you're making better choices along the way, or you're making conscious choices along the way with where you're trying to go, it will be very easy to cut out processed foods. If you're making choices based on right now and everything that you have right now, it's going to be very hard. So what I would encourage is look forward and be like, where do I want to be? I actually have a lot to be grateful for, right? I have a lot of things that are great for me right now, and I want to continue to be able to be in this world and interact with people and do these things. I don't want to be bedridden, right? So I have to make different choices. Does that make sense? And does that help? Does that resonate with anyone? It's a really, really important thing. We tend to look at things as black and white. Cut out processed food, feel better. That's not why I'm telling you to do it. I'm telling you to do it because I'm actually trying to keep you to be able to go to work or make the choice to go to work, make the choice to travel, make the choice to go visit your children, make the choice to go for a walk, make the choice to interact with other people. We want to keep making choices in our lives as long as we can, because when your independence is taken away physically or mentally, your life is basically no longer in your control, right? One of the number one things I fear, and I think many of you fear, is dementia, right? At that point, you don't get to make a choice. If you're really sick with multiple diseases and bedridden, you don't get to make choices anymore, right? A lot of times it's made for you. So right now you get to make that choice. So just make the choice. And if you don't do it right the first time, that's okay. You still made a good choice. Try again, right? And you just keep trying. I'm seriously, guys, I'm on year 20 of my health overhaul. I just looked back on the date and I was like, oh my God, it's been 20 years since I made a choice to be proactive in my health. 20 years. I'm still working on it. I'm still not 100%. I'm still not there. And that's okay. I'm better than I was. Does that help? She says, thank you. I will start making better choices. I'm going to be positive and do this. Good for you. Wendy, if you want help, join the Total Energy Turnaround Program coming up April 1st. You guys can go to the website, The Total Energy Turnaround, or you can go to my website, drpingel.com, and it's linked there somewhere on the page. Go. I'm going to be opening up the cart in March. Let me help you. Like, guys, let me help you. Like, I can totally help you. That's what group programs are for. It's stuff like this. We have to make a choice. We have to make a change. How do we do that? How do we get motivated to do that? Who's going to support you to do that and hold you accountable? Me. During that program, I am going to hold you accountable. And when you fall down, it's going to be okay. We're going to all lift you up and we're going to do it again. That's what group programs are for, right? So if you're struggling with this, join me, right? Okay, back to questions. Oh my gosh, it's already, oh my gosh, look at how much time I spent on that. I'm so sorry. Let me see if I can fly through some of these other questions so that I can get general answers, and then we'll move on. Then we'll do this again next week. I hope this was helpful. I spent more time on those, and I'm going to break those up, I think, and put them on YouTube in 10-minute segments, because it seems like this is something that keeps coming up, and I think you guys really need help with it. Yeah. And if you do like it, if I break these up and I put them out there in the world on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, if you guys like it, please comment and say, wow, this was great. Thank you. Put more stuff out like this. I'm trying to get a feel for what you guys need. So the more you guys interact and give me questions and content and be like, yeah, man, that's great. I love this. Give me more of this. I'll give you more of it. I just need to know what you need. Yeah. I take your Total B complex. Does it contain B6 and 12? Yes, sir. It does, in methylated forms. So organic whole milk Greek yogurt, not good. I don't love it, Aaron. It's better than processed sugary Greek yogurt, right? But here's my question. What does it give you? Now, you could argue it gives me protein. So I would argue, what else gives you protein? And then you could argue, well, it gives me calcium, which, by the way, is not 100% accurate on this whole thing. But I could argue, well, I could think of a bunch of other foods that could give you calcium. Dairy does have an inflammatory component to it, particularly processed dairy. So you're basically trying to get protein and calcium from something that's also inflammatory, where you could switch to what some people are saying over on Instagram, like pumpkin seeds, nuts, leafy greens, whole foods, and still get the calcium, right? You could switch to some organic grass-fed meats, or lentils, or other sources of protein that would give you protein. I'd probably be happier with a really clean vegan protein like Planet Protein than Greek yogurt. So always look at what, and this may go to Wendy as well. When you put it in your mouth, what is it giving you? Right? What are you getting out of it? Anything with a label is a no for me. Yeah. I hear you. Now, granted, do I completely avoid all foods altogether with labels? No, sometimes I will buy a pre-made sauce, but I'll tell you, I am reading that ingredient, and I'm also looking at how often I use it, right? When I can do something whole, I will, but I'm also busy. I'm a mom. I run 2 businesses. I am busy. And sometimes I do have to buy things from Whole Foods that maybe are in a box, like some rice crackers or something to serve with hummus. I'm not saying you never do it. I'm saying look at what's in it. Because there is a difference between buying Ritz crackers and buying organic, well-sourced, pesticide-free, additive, dye-free rice crackers, right? There is a difference. Okay. So there's a progression, Wendy. It's not like you're saying, oh, I'm never going to eat a box again, but you need to start reading the labels of what you are eating. And I think really taking investigation to what you're eating. One of the first exercises I do in the Total Energy Turnaround program is have you go through your pantry and start reading the labels and see what you're really eating. Because a lot of the times we just don't know. We read the thing on the front that says healthy, organic, approved, but we don't read the label. Those are marketing. Marketing's on the front of the box, the label's on the back of the box. Okay? Look at the back of the box. Don't fall for the marketing. Okay. Okay. Hi there. It's always nice to see you here and what you're talking about. Thank you. I love it with berries and granola, and yes, for the protein. Erin, I use cashew yogurt for that. I love yogurt with granola and berries. So I do a cashew-based yogurt. You can also do a coconut. There's a lot you can do with that. I have a quinoa porridge recipe. I think it's on my website. I know it's in my program. And I know you have access to that. So, yeah. Box or bag, I say only grown real food. Fantastic. Eat nuts, walnut, pumpkin seeds. Absolutely. Most of what it is in the grocery store, only shop the outside rim. Very good tactic, although they're starting to get onto that. It used to always be the case. Now I find a lot of crap in the outside rim as well. I have an addiction to peppermint candy mints. What am I lacking in my system, please? Probably just the choice of not doing it. Does it mean a nutritional deficiency? Not necessarily. You could argue that the sugar is an issue, but if you're only craving those and not other types of sugar, it could just be a habit. You like the taste of it, find a different peppermint mint, or just make a choice not to have them. 2 weeks to break a habit, right? How about peppermint tea? Why not use the whole peppermint? Why not take peppermint tea as a whole herb and use that, or put 1 drop of peppermint essential oil in a huge vat of water and drink that? Or is it the sucking action that you like? You like to suck on things. If so, I would say deglycerized licorice tablets are a pretty good one. They're great for the gut. They're great for the throat. You can suck on honey lozenges as well, like make some things out of honey. There's a recipe on my website for homemade cough drops. I think it is homemade cough drops or throat drops. You could mess with some of the ingredients in there and make like an essential oil based candy to suck on that doesn't have any artificial sugars. I got a lot of hearts and fire on that one. You guys like that? There's always a choice to make. There's always a better choice than what you're doing. Even now, like I said, gluten-free bread, you guys have been like, whatever. I made a better choice than that. It still would have been a good choice. It would have been better than wheat bread, but we always have a choice to make it better. There's always another option. There are always doors open every single day to a different life and a different place. We're the ones that choose whether we want to stay where we're at or whether we want to move forward or whether we want to take that door. It is us. Nobody else makes that decision for us. And we spend a lot of time blaming a lot of other people for what happens to us. Things happen to us. That's a fact. What we do with it is up to us. In fact, I'm going to end on this. Look at this. This is on my wall. And it's going to be backwards. I realize that. But it says, today you are exactly where you are supposed to be. What happens tomorrow is up to you. This is how we're ending it. This is on my wall. I read it every single morning. I hope that helps. All right. I know there were so many questions here. Oh my gosh. I see a lot of comments about the food. I think we covered that pretty well. What do I think about carb cycling, healthy carbs like potatoes and squashes? I think anytime you have to control your diet in a nitpicky way, it's a failure to success. I mean, it's a roadblock to success. I think it's important to incorporate really good carbs in your diet. I think we need them, but it also depends on your activity level and what you're eating in addition. So to say everyone should carb cycle, everyone should eat carbs, you can't do that. There's so many more factors involved with that. I personally love sweet potatoes and butternut squash and eat them quite regularly, but I'm also really active, right? Fuel your body, poison your body. What do you think about homemade sourdough bread? It's better than purchased bread. I'm learning mindfulness and breathing for my central nervous system to calm for high cortisol levels. Been 4 years for me and still trying. Do you want a little tip? One way to access and calm your body down is to hum. Why? Because it vibrates the vagus nerve, calms the body down. There you go. So if you're in a stressful situation, literally close your mouth and start humming. You'll see kids do this all the time. Why? They know how to calm themselves, right? Hum. Okay. Especially if you're pushing on like a knot in your neck, push on the neck and hum and see how much faster it releases. You'll be surprised. How to help with sugar addiction. You have to make a choice. The sugar isn't doing it to you. You're doing it. That's a hard truth. I'm sorry, but it is. You are making the choice to eat the sugar. So in order to break an addiction, you have to stop. I mean, that's it. And granted, there's a lot of mindfulness and support and that needs to go into that. I can help you with that. My 12-week, the 90-day program I have coming up can help you break a sugar addiction. I've had multiple people that have run through that program and they all say within 10 days, they no longer crave sugar. So if you want to break that addiction, if you're serious about it, join me, right? TheTotalEnergyTurnaround.com. Sign up for the wait list. You'll be the first to get offered to the cart. You'll be able to purchase, be the first one in the door. Starts April 1st. Let me help you break it. Yes, I will tag the dentist. Is fatty liver reversible? Yes and no. I have so many questions. Do you have a tomato soup recipe? I don't think so, but I do have a couple soup recipes on my website. I was always taught 5 ingredients or less. Exactly. Coconut cult yogurt is on fire. Absolutely. Thoughts on Lovebird cereal? Haven't looked at Lovebird cereal. Ezekiel bread, a good choice. Ezekiel is better than traditional bread. Once again, this is a scale, right? Thank you. All right. info on the program. TheTotalEnergyTurnaround.com has the info on the program. It will start April 1st. I will be sending out marketing materials and talking about this more if you need more information on it. If you want to bring questions here about that, open it up right at the beginning. Like next week, come out and say, tell me about your program, and I will absolutely fill you in. But that's a good start, okay, on what you will get. I highly encourage you to read the testimonials. I highly encourage you to, post like on Facebook, like talk about it, have other people chime in. I have a lot of you that attend these lives that have done the program and have seen amazing results. So, hey, you guys have been awesome. I went over, but what great questions today. Here's my hope. I hope that today was inspiring for you, motivational. I hope it gave you some insight. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you forward this, please subscribe, follow, tag people who need to hear this. Is it just like the book? No, it's a level up from the book. The book is entry level, do it yourself. The group program, different recipes, up leveled on a lot of different ways. So similar format in that there's 4 pillars, but definitely at a level up of the book. The book is tended to be just for very basic newbie, do it yourself type thing. This has a lot more leading from me, right? So, okay. All right. See you next week. Thanks, guys.